Hey guys, welcome to the AFL and NRL Saturday betting preview. In this video, I'm going to go through my 4 best bets for Saturday across both sports. There's a total of 6 games on, 3 in the NRL, 3 in the AFL. 2 games I don't want to be involved in. I'll go through the reasons why that's the case for those. And I'll also go through the reason why the 4 bets I am making, why I'm making them. We'll start with the AFL. The first game is West Coast taking on the Sydney Swans. Obviously, this is a very easy game to predict from who's going to win. The Swans come into this game $1.01 favorites for the matchup, coming from $1.03 earlier in the week. The lines moved up to minus 59.5. The Swans are definitely going to win. It's just a matter of how much they're going to win by. With the line at around minus 60, I feel like the Swans should be able to cover it. But at this venue, I'm just going to stay away from that. Last time these sides met, the Swans put up 205 points. So as I mentioned in the betting trends video for this round, I said I was going to play a same game multi for this matchup and look to capitalize on the Swans players who are going to rack up numbers against the West Coast team who give up the most disposals to the opposition and who also give up the most points. So firstly, for this multi, what we're going to take is 4 legs. Firstly, Isaac Heaney to have 100 plus fantasy points. So what I'm looking to do here is, instead of just taking players to get a certain number of disposals, I'm also looking to capitalize on them potentially kicking goals as well. And we have seen Heaney and Warner both kick goals this season. So Heaney, 100 plus AFL fantasy points. He's had 117 plus in all 4 games so far this season. Obviously, this is their easiest matchup as well. So he should be able to rack up the points in his new role this season. Chad Warner to have 80 plus fantasy points. He's hit this number in his last 9 games straight. So once again, should be able to do this, especially if he's able to hit the scoreboard again. And then we're going to take Logan McDonald to kick a goal at any time. So 1 plus goals. He's hit this in his last 7 games and kicked multiple goals in a few of those as well. So definitely should be able to hit the scoreboard. And also Tom Papley to kick a goal. And he's hit this in 24 of his last 25 games. So almost a guarantee there, including him as well. The 4 legs come to $1.93. And as always, I'm always looking for bets around this $2 mark, kind of like anything above $1.70 up to $2.30 is like the range I work in with my main bets. And in these videos, I like to give you like my most confident bet for that game. So that's the play in the West Coast Eagles versus Sydney Swans game. Not a really exciting game, but betting on the game does make it a lot more interesting and exciting. Next game, Fremantle take on Carlton. This is a pretty good matchup. Fremantle have been good this season. But as I mentioned in previous videos, those best performances have come at home. I don't really think they're all that good on the road against North Melbourne. They have to go to Adelaide Oval here, where both sides have really, really bad records. Carlton's never actually won there, and Fremantle have lost 9 of their past 11. So looking at this matchup, this venue doesn't really favor either side. So just looking at how they match up, did miss the line by a couple of points here with Carlton, but I'm going to take them to cover minus 7.5 at $1.90 at PointsBet. The reason being is Carlton have a really good record against Fremantle. They've won and covered 6 of the past 7 head-to-head. The game Fremantle won was back in 2022, where they are favorites at home. The latest matchup, Carlton won 98-45 and had, I think, close to double the amount of scoring shots as Fremantle in that game, and that was on the road. So I really like Carlton to get it done and win this game and win it fairly comfortably. I think they can win this game by about the 20 to 30 point margin. And so therefore, obviously, they'll cover the line at 7.5. Historically, this matchup has been going under, but it's going to stay away from the total in this game. Carlton, this is definitely an important game for them to be winning. They're able to get their offense rolling against North Melbourne last week, which we've seen Brisbane do earlier this afternoon. And with that, they should be able to slowly break down. And they have the players down in their forward line to break through this Fremantle defense, which has been pretty good so far this season. But as I said, it's been good at home, and they need to take that form onto the road. And I think they're just being a bit overvalued. I definitely would have this line closer to the 14, 15 point mark and not in the single digits. So I like Carlton to win and cover. The last game on Saturday night is the Western Bulldogs taking on Geelong. This is a really tricky game, and I feel like it's one that could go either way, kind of depending which team turns up on the night. The Geelong have a really good record against the Bulldogs, winning 21 of the past 25 matches. The Bulldogs did win the latest meeting at GMHBA at the end of last season. So they do have that recent win over the Cats. And I do think the Bulldogs are the better side of the two. But when Geelong have such a good record against them, just makes me a little bit hesitant to back them. And I don't really think there's much value in the price with this game currently. $1.90 either side, so I'll pick them either way. If the Dogs were the $2.10, $2.20 mark, then I could see the value in them. But at the current odds, I don't think that's the case. So this is a good opportunity just to watch how these two teams go up against each other. Both of them have had like really easy games to start the season as well, which makes it a little bit hard to read. The Bulldogs lost to Melbourne in their opening game, but have since played the Gold Coast Suns and North Melbourne. And they lost that opening game against the Demons, but have won easily against the two easy opponents. And then Geelong beat St Kilda by a small margin in their opening game, but have since then played the Crows and Hawthorn, who are both winless so far this season. So when teams are playing really easy matchups, it's a lot harder to get a gauge on how good they really are. So this is a good opportunity to see these two teams go up against each other. And as I've mentioned previously, like we don't need to force bets into every game. It's a long season and you don't need to like try and find an angle in every single matchup. I also don't really like getting too involved in the player props in this game, as both sides kind of limit the opposition. So I'm just going to stay out of it from that perspective. Then over in the NRL, as I said, there's 3 games on. We're going to bet into the opening 2. Firstly, the Rabbitohs versus Warriors. The Warriors have a couple of outs, both wingers out for this game, but I still think they're going to be good enough to beat the Rabbitohs. Been fading the Rabbitohs all season long, and I'm going to continue to do so here, especially due to the defense. The Rabbitohs are conceding 32 points a game this season. The Warriors only 17. On the back of their defense, that should be enough for them to win this game, and I'm very surprised how close the odds are for this matchup. The Warriors taking $1.87 at Bet365 for this game. I feel like that's a really nice bet based on how these two teams have gone so far this season. The Rabbitohs do have a good record, winning 14 of the past 15 against the Warriors, but as we've seen over pretty much the past 2 seasons, this Warriors team have really turned it around from what they're dishing out in previous seasons. This matchup has historically also been high scoring, with 10 of the past 11 going over. However, now with the final teams out, Warriors both wingers out, I'm just a little bit hesitant to stay away from that over in this game, but I would still lean towards it going over, but also with the weather conditions expected, that's brought the line down to 39.5, but would still lean towards the over, but just don't want to back it and prefer taking the Warriors to win this game. And then the following game after that, the Seaeagles take on the Panthers. Panthers still obviously without Nathan Cleary. They showed last week they can win. I think they can win this game again. This is another one where I feel like the odds are just a little bit closer than they should be. So going to take the Panthers -2.5 at $1.96. That's at BoomBet. I think like you could take them on the head-to-head $1.73, but would prefer just that little bit more value up to $1.96. The Panthers should be too good on the back of their defense, very similar to the Warriors. Both those sides are top 4 defenses. Currently, the Panthers are the number 2 ranked defense, and on the back of that, that should be allow them to stifle the Seaeagles' attack, and then they'll be able to put up enough points against the Manly defense that isn't all that strong. The key for this game is the Penrith forwards just making enough meters down the middle, because the Seaeagles are the number 1 opponent run meters defense and number 1 for opponent post-contact meters. So the forward for the Panthers definitely need to step up in this game. But then when you look at it, the Panthers are the number 1 run meters and number 1 post-contact meters. Therefore, they should get enough field position to win this game and cover the small spread. The last game on the night, the Dolphins take on the Tigers. The line for this game's gone all the way out to about -10. And I think like the Dolphins being a little bit overvalued. Like last week, we were able to get the Dolphins at about $1.70 to beat the Titans, and the Titans are going a lot worse than the Tigers. So now we're being asked to take a lot shorter odds for the Dolphins to beat the Tigers. So for those reasons, like from just pure value perspective, I'd have to lean towards the Tigers, but I don't ever really make a habit of backing teams at the plus when I think the favorite is going to win that game. And for that reason, I'm just going to stay out, even though I think the odds are a little bit wrong. This is just definitely a watch and see game, and I don't want to get involved from a betting perspective. So 4 plays for tomorrow: Panthers at -2.5, $1.96 at BoomBet. Then the Warriors to win, $1.87 at Bet365. Then in the AFL, we're taking Carlton -7.5 points bet at $1.90. And then in the West Coast Eagles Swans game, 4 legs, same game multi, which you can see on the screen there, paying $1.93. Feel like with these 4 bets, we can definitely go 3-1, hopefully 4-0. As I record this, we split the early plays in the footy on Friday, same as we split them on Thursday night. Fortunately, the Roosters played the majority of the game with 12 men and even part of the final 10 minutes in an 11-on-13 situation, and still only lost by a small margin. So they really should have got it done, but it wasn't the case. But the Lions won and covered very, very easily. So we start the AFL round 2-0, so definitely turned it around from last week. Hence why the way I bet and the way I stake is the way that it is. So hopefully you guys are enjoying following along. Make sure you subscribe, like this video if you want more of these, and I'll keep posting them right throughout the season.